Hello and welcome back to Technology Review. I'm your host, Mac Jackson Jr. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn by looking up the keyword Mac Jackson Jr. Or go to my website, macjacksonjr.com, and download our free book on how to protect your family from identity theft and fraud. In this segment, we are continuing our conversation with Sona Pedovic. We're going to talk about what's going on with Equifax and businesses, right? What businesses should do and how vulnerable businesses are, because they are the number one source of identity theft and cybercrime. And the reasons why is that's where the information is. Folks, information is the new currency of the 21st century. You think of when bank robbers robbed banks back in the 1800s, right? They asked them, why are you robbing these banks all the time? That's where the money is, the robbers said, right? Same thing with hackers. Why are you going to these businesses for their data? Because that's where the money is. There's been several robberies, even here in Vegas, where companies and businesses were robbed and the crooks left the cash. There's a couple real estate companies and property management companies. They had the monthly checks of the renters. And they didn't want that. They got the servers. Because the servers and the file drawers with all the information of people they stole that information, folks. Left the cash in there because they know that cash will spin once. All this information could spin hundreds of times in the dark net by trying to sell this information to other hackers. Incredible.
It's unfortunate.
Absolutely unfortunate. So Equifax, like we were saying, we were talking about them all this week and what you should do about it, how to protect yourself, protect your family and your business. But let's talk about how that hack happened.
Sure.
It's reported from Equifax that it was a web application that showed vulnerabilities.
Okay.
But the story that I got yesterday morning, from other cybersecurity researchers and FBI people, is that there was a third-party company that hired to do an audit back in February or March, and they gave a report to Equifax stating that you guys have vulnerabilities in your system. You must do something about this.
That's ridiculous.
And they didn't. They did the whole car alarm thing, folks. False alarms, it's no big deal, no big deal. Well, that's another thing that hackers will do now, right? When you do vulnerability, we talked about this, vulnerability pen testing, right, and assessments. So when you look for a pen test and vulnerability, you look at all the particular alarms that go off when data is coming through your system through the internet, right? Well, the hacker, and you look for anything that shows vulnerabilities.
Sure.
Someone breaking into your system. So if you see one, it's like, red flag. Where did it come from? You do something. Oh, it's false. It was just someone that entered the wrong password in one of the workstations at endpoint within the organization. Oh, that's no big deal. Well, that keeps happening. What do you do as a human? You ignore that. So what hackers will do now is send lots of those into your system, and now you're trying to go through each one of those, trying to figure out which one is a real
hacker
attack. So you end up ignoring it, like the car alarms, and then that's when you get your stuff broken into. That's what happened to Target.
I was going to say,
situation.
It's like right there. It's danger zone right there. That's really culpable on their part of it, and that's really shameful because people really trust in this system that we have.
And you have to. You have a choice. You want to get a loan. You want to get a loan, and insurance.
Cell phone. All that. They do a credit check. And they check your credit, and if your number isn't in a certain range, you approve. Oh, so much about this. They also stated, Equifax, that they say that they have several different servers. The server that has all of your personal identifiable information, that's the one that was hacked and compromised. But there's another server that has all your credit scores, and they're saying that wasn't touched. It's hard for me to believe that, too, that wasn't touched, because if you're a hacker and you got one, of course, they're known for their credit scores. That's where the information is, because as a hacker, you would want to grab that data, change the number, especially someone who has bad credit, because they're not going to check their credit or freeze it. So then you can go and change their number and then sell their information. Now that profile is worth more money. And what was that, 143 million?
143 million people.
It's just insane.
143 million people plus 209,000 credit cards. And that's just pocket change, folks. Honestly, 209,000 credit cards are pocket change. That's not really what they want. They'll make anywhere between $100 to $1,500. I saw one report in the darknet for each one that they steal and sell to another person. So that's a little pocket change, but they want that profile, that individual, to buy property in your name and stuff, right? So businesses, things that they should do.
definitely they should educate themselves.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is something you've been pounding me to do for a long time, and I see you talk to a lot of businesses, and I know a lot of businesses that are kind of inquiring now about this breach, or ones you've talked to in the past that haven't yet done things, and it's one of those things like, why do we wait? Why do we wait? Why do we wait? And it's even like, you start to feel sick, and you have to put off going to the doctor, and you put off, and then all of a sudden it's the worst possible solution. It's very similar to that, especially if your business is your legacy or your livelihood.
That's a good point.
You start to, and I think of that as a small business owner. Do I want my business to be just a paycheck, or do I want it to be something that I can sell later or leave a legacy to my children? And why am I not protecting that as much as I protect my health or my body and or my family? And I think that it's just taking the time and hiring someone like yourself to come in and initially have a conversation to explore what do we know, what don't we know. I think as business owners, because we're always focusing on growing the business and doing what we need to do that, we have a lot of blind spots, and I think security is a huge blind spot for us.
It is a very huge blind spot for companies because we try to do it ourselves. I mean, so many times I've talked to people and they'll say, well, Mac, I'll just Google it and find information on the internet. Okay, great, you Google it, find that information. You can do that, but if you're ever audited, the auditors want to know, did this document you just created in Word, did you create it 6 months ago and just sitting there and never been updated? This information, folks, has to be updated. In other words, companies have to have policies and procedures in place for their business. In other words, if you're a company, even if you're a small mom and pop company, if you get attacked and there's a data breach, you will be asked by auditors. It could be from the Attorney General offices in your state. It could be federal. It could be the banking system or a lawsuit. They will say to you, show us procedures that you've done in your company. And if you have this document that you created 6 months ago and your employees haven't been trained, that could be a ding on your side. It could affect you. So we're talking about mitigation here, folks, mitigating factors.
Or even if you've spent the money to buy cyber insurance, which some people are doing, and I know that there's a lot of information on whether or not that's needed or not needed, sort of like flood insurance in a flood zone, I guess nowadays.
That's a good point,
But if you buy the insurance and try to file a claim, and yet you have these vulnerabilities that either you knew about or didn't know about, or you didn't go the lengths to protect it, then chances are they're not going to pay out those claims.
That's right. Incident report. Do you have a policy office? In other words, what if something happens? What would you do? It's more than just picking up a phone and calling your insurance company and say, hey, give us a check. We had a break-into. You must have an incident report. How do you tell your customers? I think that's what Equifax was going through as well. It took them 40 days, folks, after this breach. The breach happened in May and ended July 29th. That's a long time.
Was that longer than Target? I meant to look that up before the show.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a good point.
Because I feel like Target might have been longer. It's like we haven't quite learned our lesson yet.
I do remember. Target was much, much longer.
It's sort of like, you're a politician or celebrity and you think you can do all these things and not get caught. But we're going to figure it out, right? And so, and there isn't necessarily, as far as I understood in the research I did, that there isn't laws saying if you do have the breach, what in all counties, states, wherever jurisdictions, when you do have to report that, there's a gray area there.
And that's coming. There's a big federal law now that's been working its way through Congress that they're going to put the hammer down on mostly every business that have to have.
I do understand maybe, if I were to, I'm just saying, if I were Equifax and I got a hack today, I might not want to go public today because I know my systems are vulnerable. And so there may be some work and a period of 24, 72 hours where you need to get people involved to protect the remaining data. Because I would think that if you report it instantly, you're almost like another target, right? Potentially.
Could be, potentially.
But 40 days is
that's a lot of time.
It's very significant.
But it's like the fire drill, folks, like we preach all I'm preaching now. Preach all the time on this show. Like the fire drill. You should automatically have that in place. They should already know. If we're hacked today, we know that we're going to take us 10 days. Boom, we're going to get it out to the public. Let our customers know right away. We're going to get them back up. When we go back, we're going to talk about this whole credit monitoring stuff, too. That's interesting. Now they're saying, we're going to give a year worth of credit monitoring. Really, folks? A year worth of credit monitoring? What if you already have credit monitoring? Now what are they going to give you?
And what happens after a year?
What's happening? It's just like Afghanistan. We're going to pull our soldiers back after a year. Okay, we'll just wait until they leave.
It's just...
Same thing, right? The hacker's just going to wait till that year is up. Then they're going to come in and attack them. So.
But as a consumer, you think you're getting something for free, and technically, really, realistically, down the road, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, down the road, you're going to pay for it, folks. And time, effort, money, and all kinds of things. Folks, we'll be right back here at Technology Review with Sona Padwick. We're going to talk more about this data breach, folks, after these important messages from our sponsors. Thank you.